Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Rams Reveal, presented by NFL All Day. My name is JB Long, and it is a short week coming off a loss at San Francisco. That means this is a player day off at the team facility here in Thousand Oaks, unless you're rehabilitating an injury, and that's where we find today's guest, rookie outside linebacker Daniel Hardy. How are you?
I'm doing great, man.
I mean, I'm glad that you're here, but I guess I'm sorry that you're here, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's just it's been a process, and you got to trust it and take it one day at a time.
Awesome. Well, we're going to use this as an opportunity to get to know you regardless. Maybe set the stage for what will be your NFL debut, hopefully sooner rather than later. Check in on that recovery and maybe even get a Dallas Cowboys preview coming your way at SoFi Stadium. In fact, the Rams are home for the rest of the month. Around a bye, they've got their next 3 at SoFi. All right, so let's start with that high ankle sprain, and then we'll get into your backstory a little bit, just get an update on where things are. It happened week 2 of the preseason.
Yes, sir.
All right, and give us a sense of your injury experience. I know you were mostly a basketball player coming up.
Yes, sir. I don't have a ton. I had a small knee surgery back in college, but it was during COVID when nobody was playing, so I was able to make it back. So this is my first time really actually missing team activities, missing games, missing practices. So, it's a new front, but, just like everything else, you got to attack it head on.
How does that sit with you?
I don't love it. I'm not really somebody who likes to be idle. And, especially watching the games, from home when they're away, I kind of, I'm just itching to be back out there.
Sure.
I want to be able to help and contribute.
Do you take losses harder when you perform and when you're dressed, or when you have to sit on the sideline and watch from afar?
I think it's equally as bad in both situations.
No such thing as a good loss, right?
No.
You did make the initial 53-man roster, though. I want to stress that. We'll get into your draft week in a little bit momentarily. But you make the team before hitting injured reserve, and that means you're eligible to return, perhaps as soon as this week against Dallas. No need to mention here whether or not you're going to be dressed against the Cowboys. But I want to go back to making the roster as a deep draft pick. When and how did you realize that even though you're banged up, you're going to be a member of the 2022 Los Angeles Rams?
Honestly, it was kind of something that, I really didn't find out until it hit. Until they posted about it on social media.
Bro, you're watching the waiver wire too?
Yeah, I was. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous, but more than happy to still be a part of this organization and have a chance to be able to contribute.
So you're from the greater Portland area, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What do you call your hometown, your true hometown?
Gresham,
okay. And you're a basketball player. You've got the size, you got the wingspan, it looks like, to do it. Tell us about your hoops career first, because I understand you had a chance to maybe pursue that as a collegiate.
Yes. So I grew up playing basketball. I got 5 older brothers, and that was our thing to do. My brothers closest in age were Eli and Gale, and I used to I was their little tag along, and I used to go with them everywhere, try and play basketball all the time. And in the summers, we'd hit our yard work in the morning with our dad and get our chores out the way, and then we were playing basketball until the sun went down. And so I just grew up loving basketball. And when I got to high school, my parents wanted me to be a well-rounded individual, so they kind of had said it that I was only allowed to play one. And since I grew up playing basketball, that's what I rolled with. And went to the basketball team at my high school was fairly good. So I didn't make varsity until my junior year. Mm-hmm. And then my senior year had a very productive year. Was a starter all throughout the year, was first team all-state, and ended up, we made it to the championship and had a tough loss to Seaside High School. But, it was an amazing journey. When I got into my senior year, I had proven to my parents that I could handle play and grades. So, and also some help from the head football coach to convince them to let me come out and play is when I finally was able to start playing football.
You were recruited within the athletic department at Valley Catholic.
Yes, it's not a huge school, so the assistant basketball coach for the basketball team was the head football coach, and so just he'd see me play basketball and was thought my skills could translate onto the field.
When you say well-rounded, academics obviously a part of this, but what did your parents want you to invest in aside from athletics?
Definitely my brain. My mom is very, obviously, it's true. Your brain is the strongest muscle you have. And so they wanted me to be a very intellectual person and go into into that side of things. And my mom still thinks to this day that I'm going to be the head of United Nations at some point. I strongly disagree, but she still believes it nonetheless. But that they wanted me to be able to go any direction I wanted to and not really limit myself to one thing.
Mm-hmm. So beyond high school, when you had to make a choice what to pursue, were there basketball options out there, or how did you end up fully switching over to football and eventually becoming a professional?
Well, honestly, it was kind of I had never really, so like I said, my senior year was my first chance really getting to start and
receiver and linebacker, right? In
Yes,
high
sir.
school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I had never really had anybody try to recruit me for basketball. And, I had a few coaches reach out to me about football. None of them panned out, but, they had reached out. So I had, was like, okay, maybe this is where I need to go, be flexible and make the transition. And honestly was really just looking for a way to pay for college. I was on my own as far as that goes. And so, scholarship I saw was the, easiest way to, make my way through college. And so after, nothing panned out recruiting wise, for football, I ended up going to a JUCO.
Help me with the name here. I've tried it. It's in Northern California near Mount Shasta, right?
Yes.
College of the
Siskiyous.
Siskiyous. All right, that's not as hard as it looks. Yeah. I won't ask you to spell it.
Siskiyous.
Wow, you really did invest in your education. Nicely done. So what was the appeal of going there, and how did that experience help get you to Montana State?
Most of the appeal was it was close to home. It wasn't insanely unaffordable, and it was an opportunity to develop my football skills and earn credits towards my degree and then be able to transfer. I was a qualifier out of high school, so I could leave after, whenever I needed to.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of betting on yourself. You're saying, I'm new to football. I think I've got the physical attributes that if I go and develop for another season or two, it turned out being one, correct?
Yes.
If I go and develop for another season, I might get a higher level opportunity?
Yes.
Okay, and then Montana State, perfect place, perfect time?
Honestly, yeah, they found me. I have no idea how they did. All I know is one day I showed up and coach pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I got somebody in the office who wants to talk to you." And I went in and met them, and I love what they had to say. Their whole mentality is to have a blue collar mentality with a gold standard.
Blue collar mentality, gold standard. I like that.
So, everybody there is, it's Montana. So you got a lot of guys from ranches and, farms. And so, a lot of blue collar guys who know how to put in work to get results.
What's the penalty if you confuse Montana and Montana State, by the way?
With me, I'll let you off with a warning, but I will make it very clear that you need to be very proper about that.
Pretty intense up there in the big sky. I know it. Yeah. But edge defender is still relatively new to you. I mean, you had to pick a sport, then you had to pick a position, right? And it wasn't until deep in your Montana State career that you found a home out on the edge.
Yeah. It was, it's honestly just Coach Choate, one of the former head coaches of MSU, one of the things he always used to hit on was you got to be, in life, you got to be like water and not like a rock. Because you need to be flexible, be able to take shape to whatever, situation you're in and not be rigid. And, at the end of the day, water is going to wear a rock down and a rock isn't going to wear water down. So it was just kind of embracing that type of thing, being able to fit wherever they needed me, just be a Swiss Army knife type of thing. And I ended up finding a spot where things worked out.
Did they ever? I mean, let me read this senior year stat line. All-American, first team All-Big Sky. You moved to defensive end, 25 TFL, 17 sacks. At that point, are you thinking, this is more than just a good season, this is something that might catapult me to bigger things?
Yeah, that was the whole mentality going into the season. Before my senior year, we had a coaching change, and Coach Vegan took over as the head coach and, brought in some new staff and, in our entry meetings, getting to know the coaches. Coach Howe was the new D-line coach, and he sat me down and he asked me to tell him my goals. And I said, honestly, I want to play in the NFL. And, he's coached formerly at USC and a lot of other big schools. And so he'd seen what it took to get there and the type of talent. And he told me, you you've got what it takes, but you got to make some changes, and you got to change your body for one, because I was very, very light, and then two, he said you need to pour yourself into this technique, and you need to dedicate yourself to getting better every day, and that's what we did, and it ended up working out very well for us.
Did it ever? You're selected in the 7th round, so you get the call deep on draft Saturday, 235 overall. I'm imagining that you're probably taking phone calls for like the free agency process at that stage of the day. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. My phone was going crazy. I had no idea. I was talking to a few teams, my agent, going back and forth. Some people asked me to play middle linebacker. It was all over the place. And so it was kind of in that moment where I was almost in that point where I had to make a decision. Like, do I have to, go with somebody and take an opportunity while I can? Or do, I kind of wait it out and then possibly lose the opportunity?
Sounds like a 1 day or maybe even a 1 hour recruiting whirlwind.
Yeah, it was pretty hectic.
But Les Need and company made it easy for you.
Yes, sir. I was actually on the phone with the head coach of the Eagles when they called, and I didn't recognize the number. And he's giving me his recruiting pitch, and you're not just going to hang up on a head coach of an NFL team. And I saw a text message pop up from my agent, and he said, "Hang up the phone now. The Rams are calling you." And so I was like, "Hey, I got to go." And I answered the phone, and it was Les, and he was like, "I know you're getting hounded for free agency, but we're going to go ahead and pull you off the draft board." So it was a crazy moment, and it was just tons of chaos, and then just absolute silence in a way, and it just came very calm. And I was on the phone, and my family was in the background. They were all huddled around waiting to hear, and I let them know I was coming to LA, and then we just went nuts. So
that's so great. I don't want to fast forward or move too quickly here, right, but if there's a thought that you can give us to encapsulate the offseason program and the summer that you had, because a lot of 7th round picks don't even make an initial roster. As we already documented, you did. What happened between that phone call to when roster cuts are made that you think you were able to prove to the Rams that you deserve to be a part of their initial 53?
Honestly, kind of just the work ethic, coming in every day, trying to get 1% better. It wasn't anything, crazy or special, but, just doing the right things on an everyday basis, giving all that I got. And then I think another big thing was just dedication to special teams. A lot of people forget about that. It's a whole third of the game. And
why do you smile when you say that?
Well, like I said, some people, they don't take it as seriously, as it should. I don't have any problem doing the dirty work. It was a big part of my role at Montana State for a while, and I'm happy that I was able to bring that with me into the NFL.
So we do see you in a Rams uniform for the first time. You're going to be a core special teamer.
Yes, probably, and burning rubber, running down on kickoff.
What is your best attribute as an edge defender, though, when you are on defense?
I think, something a part of my brand that I've tried to build and that, has been a part of me as an athlete and a competitor from the beginning is just being absolutely relentless. I mean, you might beat me, for the whole game, but all I need is one win on one snap, and I had a good game. And, I'm just going to keep coming and coming and coming, and, I just don't get tired. It's going to be relentless, wear you down over and over and over again. And I love to make plays, whether they're near or far. So just relentlessness.
What about your understanding in terms of football terminology and scheme, catching up as you are? Do you feel like you're still progressing? Do you feel like you're all the way there in terms of conceptual understanding?
I think I definitely have a grasp, greater grasp than before in college, but there's always something new to learn. There's lots of guys who've been around this game for years and have insane amounts of knowledge about scheme and how the game works. And so, just trying to continue to be a sponge and try and find new things to soak up and new skills and, new little things that can give me an edge over the competition.
Right. I can't wait to get to your personal story. Let me just take one more detour here to talk about a couple of your college teammates and where they are in the league. This is pretty rare for a program like Montana State to have a top 60 selection. Troy Anderson was in town with the Falcons.
Yes, sir.
Got to catch up with him.
Yeah.
How much pride do you take in seeing a teammate make a bit of history like that for your program?
A ton of pride. We all carry that Montana State on our backs, and anytime somebody looks at us, they see the program, and a lot of us take pride in showing off our program and where we came from and what we had to do to get here. So being able to go on that journey, here with Lance as well, and Troy in Atlanta, and even Lewis Kidd in Louisiana down there with the Saints. It's amazing. We're kind of making history, like you said, and so just got to continue to make the name great.
All right, you said his name, Lance McCutcheon. He's like the Rams' favorite rookie. Yeah. You were the drafted player. You were supposed to be that guy. He's stealing all your shine here. What's going on?
Nothing but love for Lance. Honestly, we at Montana State, and probably the entire state of Montana, knows he's always been that guy. Was an absolute playmaker for us at MSU, and I'm excited to see him be a playmaker for us here at the Rams. Everything he did in the preseason was it was amazing, but very typical of Lance. Like, that's something we've all seen before, and I don't think anybody was surprised.
Yeah. All right, let's use that as a transition to the NFL all-day play of the game. And thinking back to the summer, those preseason games, when he led the NFL in receiving, was there a moment, did you have a favorite play or a time you were like, see NFL world, this is what I told you was coming?
No, absolutely. When Lance went up top on two defenders and Moss, just snagged the ball out of the air, shook both of the defenders off, and then took it to the house for a touchdown. And everybody was like, everybody was on the sideline like, oh my God, like what? Like, did he just do that? And I was like, yeah, he just did that. Like, that's what we're about. And, it was great to see. And you always love to see your dogs win. And, he's definitely one of my boys, somebody I'm proud to call, not just a friend, but probably, a family member. And, it's great to see him win.
Is he working just as hard behind the scenes in terms of getting ramped up and prepared for his first NFL opportunity on Sundays?
Unbelievable. I don't think anybody knows how much work he puts in. Like, we were roommates through OTAs and through training camp when we were in the hotels and everything. And every time I came back to the room, he had a whiteboard and markers, and he was just going through the playbook, drawing up plays, doing his thing. And like, from times when I'm trying to decompress and relax my mind, he's just in the corner underneath the lamp, just drawing things out, doing what he needs to do. He didn't get a ton of reps at practice, so he was just always making sure he was 100% ready. So when they threw him in, he was able to capitalize and make plays, just like you saw in the preseason.
Yeah. Can't wait for his time. Can't wait for yours. Hopefully sooner rather than later. All right, let's finish with what makes you who you are, Daniel Hardy, and those around you that you love and you care for. Let's start with your siblings. You said that you are the second youngest of 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you give us all their names as fast as you can?
All right. Eli, Gail, Sean, Jael, Lynn, Anorvia, Patrice, and Elena.
All right. Nice. Yeah. And you're second to last there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And those are the children of your parents, Wilbert and Allie. Am I saying that correctly?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to ask you, if you can kind of summarize what happened with your father and where along that journey you lost him and how you carry his memory forward. I understand he was first diagnosed with illness while you were in high school.
Yes.
Is that right? Why don't we start there?
Yeah. So he went into the hospital with some pain in his side, did some testing. This is my sophomore year of high school, and turned out to be cancer. They tried to remove it while they still had a chance before it could, get in his bloodstream and spread. And sadly, it spread to a lot of places, primarily his lungs, his back, and a few other places. And so he battled with that for a long time, all the way up until my freshman year of college. He passed in February of 2018. And so just from, that whole thing, sports was kind of my place away from that. And, not only that, but a way to, honor my dad. like I carry my last name on my back, and I feel like that's the biggest responsibility ever. He was the pastor of one of the biggest African American churches in Portland, and just to carry on that legacy, and to make him proud, and to not only his sacrifices but my mom's sacrifices to make sure that they weren't for nothing. And I also promised him before he passed that I'd be there to take care of my mom and my little sister the way he would have, and just waking up every day with that in mind, and going to work.
When he got that initial diagnosis, how long did they give him?
6 months.
And he lived another
4 years.
Wow. How poignant were those years for you? And are you thankful that you were able to kind of be prepared in a more permanent way for losing him?
Extremely thankful, because at that time it was sophomore in high school, and you're growing up and trying to become a man, and that male role model in your life is very important. And so knowing that we had kind of limited time, and that while he was still fighting it, just being able to have those tough conversations, or teach me certain lessons in life that I might not get to until later on. But I thought it was very important, and I feel like not only mine and his relationship, but our entire family got closer through that, and through that process. And it was special. And really looking back on it now, you wish that you did more, but we got to get a lot done, and we got to do some things, we got to travel together. We got to he got to see me play football. I think he only got to come out to play one game, and that one game was a very special game. And I got a pick six to win the game, and I didn't get to see it, but my mom said that he was crying in the stands because of how proud he was when it happened. And it was really special time that we got to make some core memories, and not have just bad memories of the tough times, but also have some good ones.
It seemed like he did quite a bit in those years with you, but also kind of in his own mental process and preparation. And I get a sense of that because of the piece of content the Rams produced this summer, where they sat you down and the Rams draft class gets surprise messages to celebrate their signings. Your mom read you a note from your late father.
My son Daniel, in the years to come, you will discover your true gifts and purpose in life. You have made your parents very proud of you and your success. I believe and pray that you will continue to keep the name Hardy honored and respected. There is only one Daniel, and there will never be another like you. You never need to compare yourself nor measure yourself by others. You are unique, special, and talented. I love you, son, more than words could ever express. And please know you bring me great joy. Praying for you always, Dad.
So that was a couple months ago, Daniel, upon your arrival here in Los Angeles and signing with the Rams. Did you have any sense that there was something waiting for you?
I didn't, not at all. And the Rams were very discreet about it. They just kind of pulled me aside because it was media day, and they were like, "Hey, you got something over here?" And I was like, "Okay." And we kind of walked off away from where everybody was, and I was like, "What's this?" And we walked into a dark room with a singular chair and spotlight on it. And I was like, "What freaky ritual is this?" And they sat me down, and I'd never read that letter, and it was amazing to hear. Every day, I wake up, like I said, to make my dad proud, and I know he's watching. I wish he was here, but just to hear those words was very, very special.
What spectacular foresight by your mother too.
Yeah.
To keep that in waiting, right? I mean, it didn't have to be your professional football moment. It could have been another life milestone, maybe a marriage or a birth of a child, who knows? But that felt appropriate, didn't it?
Absolutely. My mother is brilliant and one of the most strongest people I know. And so it wasn't surprising that, she had the wisdom to, pull that out at the right moment. But, I absolutely love her. All the things that she did through that entire process. And, after he passed, she kind of took things over and, really didn't skip a beat. And, I know things are tough for her, but she never lets us see it. And, I have nothing but love for my mom. And I say this all the time, but I think I have the greatest mom in the world, and I'll fight anybody over it. So.
That's well said. When we do see it, SoFi, is she or all of your siblings going to be there? Can we make it happen?
I know she'll definitely be there.
Okay.
A lot of my siblings are grown and have their own families and responsibilities now, but she'll definitely be there.
Even though you're from the Pacific Northwest, though, you do have a connection to Los Angeles.
Yes.
Am I correct? Mm-hmm. So we'll finish there.
So my mom does have a lot of siblings as well, but one of her closest sisters lives in LA, and we used to spend a lot of our summers down here. So LA was kind of a second home. And so when we found out, that I got drafted from the Rams and I was coming down here, it was almost like, you couldn't have written it up better. Just absolutely perfect situation, right place, right time type of thing. And, it's honestly made, the process a little bit easier, just having, my support system here, having people to lean on, when I need to get away from football, I have somewhere to go. And so, it's been unbelievably special.
You want to drop their names here? Give them a little shout out?
Yeah. Uncle Tony, Auntie Julie, Anise, Ameki, Anthony, Shaloy, Antoine, all you guys, I love you. Couldn't be more thankful for you guys' support through all of this. And, hopefully we'll get all you guys down to SoFi for my first game back. And, we'll have a party.
All right, Daniel, I know you're working daily to get that ankle to where it needs to be so you can make your NFL debut. I'm now very much looking forward to that, as I know you are too. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, for Daniel Hardy, I'm JB Long, and this is Rams Revealed, presented by NFL All Day.